Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Moderately Educated News Network with myself, Xavier Dukes, and my lovely co-host, Brianna West.
Oh, uh, the co-host Stefan Jones. We're using Brianna's laptop today because I prefer Macs for Windows. It is what it is. I got the Windows though.
For sure, for sure. Um, so what are we going to be talking about today, man?
Today, I believe we're going to be talking about Russia and Putin. And second thing was,
Um, I did propose Trump's re-indictment.
yes,
Yeah.
Trump's re-indictment. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
With the updates and the adjustments.
Excelente. Um, so we can go ahead and start with Russia. Was there anything particular about Russia or the Ukraine situation that you would like to address, or going over something in general, new developments? What's that?
So, new developments. So, essentially, one of the things I know occurred, Putin ended up, um, I forgot where he was, but he was in a nation that was basically a nation that basically was like, if he comes here, we're part of a coalition of nations that, where if he comes here, he should be arrested. Ukraine was like, please arrest this man, please. He's bombing our people. And they did not. So he walked away scot-free, unscathed. And obviously there's that bombing in Ukraine, where more people got killed. So it's definitely interesting to see that even in nations where they have a coalition where it's like, okay, we're going against this individual, they still won't stand on principle or their rule of law of what they said they were going to do. So they're kind of leaving Ukraine hanging out to dry, which I kind of see why we have to keep sending them money because it's like if we don't help them, I don't think anybody else really will. I think that's something that showed. But what'd you get out of it?
Yeah, so I did see that headline that the country that you're referencing was Mongolia. They failed to arrest him with his outstanding international warrant. I did not look into why that was. I'd be curious to hear their reasoning. My initial thought was probably out of fear of retaliation from Russia, especially them bordering so close. Uh, so, well, maybe not towards like the actual populated side of Russia, but still the fact that they share a border with Russia, that might be cause of concern. I don't know if Mongolia supports Russia. I don't think so, but yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't dig too much into it. There's a lot of weird stuff that goes on with international criminal courts that is far beyond my comprehension and level of understanding, especially with legalese. So I wouldn't give Mongolia too much crap about that, because I mean, arresting a dictator is like, whoof, yeah, that's no joke. That's no easy feat. And I doubt he would go easily. So yeah.
I feel like it would be physically easy, like with manpower, but it's like the logistics of it. Like you said, I don't necessarily understand the logistics. Like, how do you prosecute somebody that's not in their country, like they're in your country? I mean, well, it happens all the time, actually. Like when Leangelo Ball stole whatever he stole at that convenience store, and then he ended up in jail in like China. I mean, so it does happen, but
Hmm.
it's like, can you be arrested for committing a crime amongst people and basically murdering people somewhere else? Like if Hitler was here
Yes.
and he was exterminating Jews
Yes.
and he went somewhere else, would he be arrested?
Yes, there are international organizations like Interpol, and the ICJ and ICC that conduct criminal trials, and issue warrants. This was an international warrant, not one exclusively held by Mongolia, but any member that co-signs the ICJ um, would therefore be obligated, if they are part of that coalition, that they would have to either arrest them with local forces or inform Interpol or some sort of international organization or effort to carry out that action. But to answer your question, yeah, Hitler would be arrested, whether that was here, there, Argentina, where he's currently hiding, whatever the fuck. Yeah, no, you're gonna get arrested because these things supersede national interest and borders and things of that nature.
Then why did Mongolia not arrest him? I know you
Again,
said
I,
not to
I couldn't tell
combat,
you.
but it's like that's
Could not tell you. Yeah, Putin visited Mongolia's ICC arrest warrant. I'll be honest, I'd be very curious. I don't know if Mongolia, maybe they aren't affiliated with the ICC and don't recognize international courts, criminal courts. Could be that. It could be, again, I'm not informed enough on that to rule why they didn't, but um, if you're asking for my opinion, I think they should have. I think there's more than enough especially in the lieu of like war crimes that have been committed during the Ukraine invasion that it warrants an arrest. So yeah.
and this, guys, is why we are moderately educated. We don't claim to know everything.
But yeah, there would have to be there we could revisit that after I look up some stuff regarding the ICC and Mongolia's influence there. But yeah, yeah, yeah. A question I we could venture into on the side is do you think with the lack of pressure applied by specifically Mongolia, but maybe other countries to thwart the efforts of Russia, do you think that continued aid to Ukraine do you think this provides more of a justification for increased aid? Do you think that it's futile and we should just give in now, save ourselves the extra dollars? Or what are your feelings on that?
Oh man. So that's a very controversial question. So I I don't know, man, because the question is the legitimacy of Russia taking over Ukraine, right?
Hmm.
So if Russia were to take over Ukraine, um, what would that look like? Would they actually take over Ukraine? And if they did, then we would kind of have to do what we did with Germany, stop expansion, and then prevent World War III from happening. But it's kind of different because there's like nukes and everything around this time. But Russia hasn't nuked Ukraine. Nothing uh crazy. I mean, like there's been bombings. Like let me not say nothing crazy has happened, but like it's not. Dang, man, that's a hard question. So my question is, I would need to know what that $500 billion, what that did for Ukraine, and based off what it did, what it provided, then you kind of assess and see if you need to give them more. Because if they still have residuals from that 500 billion, which that's $500 billion, they should have something left. Like that's a lot of freaking money. That's half a trillion. It's probably more money than that nation generates, if I'm being completely honest. So, um, I don't necessarily think we should give them more aid until we inspect and see what they've done with what we've given them already, in my opinion.
Okay. Um, to backtrack real quick, it appears that while to backtrack to the Mongolia point real quick, just did some looking. And it says Mongolia is obligated, to uphold the court or the ICC's arrest warrant. However, Mongolia is situated right between Russia and China, two countries that have enormous economic linkages with Mongolia. And as neither of those countries, Russia or China, is a member of the ICC, neither of them are friendly to the ICC, and therefore, any action taken by Mongolia would therefore be looked down upon. And Mongolia clearly decided that its economic and diplomatic interests outweighed its legal obligations as an ICC court member. So yeah, it was just out of fear of retaliation, which makes sense. I'm not mad at that. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, yeah, they chose to preserve their people.
All the
Anyway,
sanctions that would have occurred if they did arrest him.
yeah, that would have been nasty. So anyway, to go back to more sort of what you just said, when it comes to the legitimacy of Russia's invasion, do you feel that that invasion is justified?
Do I feel Russia's invasion of Ukraine is justified?
Because you spoke to
No.
okay, not at all. So I think that if we don't feel if there's zero justification for it, and it's obviously a wrong act, are we not morally obligated in some degree to thwart wrongness?
Well, that's a great question. And I kind of have to look back to Mongolia. Why, like, Mongolia quite literally had the opportunity to do just that. They did not,
Hmm.
as you just researched, right? Why are we the only ones obligated to help other countries whenever we haven't even been helping our own people to the extent that we should be? Like that's my only question. And it's like I'm not saying don't do anything, but we've already given them $500 billion. 1 billion is 1,000 million. We've given them 500 of those. So that's really where it comes down to, why does America have to be the savior of all? Why do we always have to get involved in everybody else's business? Why does every other country have closed borders and we have open borders? And if you went to any other country and literally just tried to go across the border and be like, oh, yeah, yeah, I'm claiming citizenship, there is no freaking quote unquote birthright citizenship or anything else like anywhere else in the world. Why are we like this? That's the question I would bounce back to you.
Um, so I just personally went to Croatia on a birthright program because I am part Croatian. So and they're going to give me citizenship for no other point other than I can prove my lineage. So I don't live there. I'll be a member or a citizen of the EU in the next year. So I have dual citizenship. So there are very much open borders. A lot of European countries actually bring in tons of immigrants, especially because they are so understaffed during the summer months and they need labor. So Croatia and brings in like they only have like 4 million people there, and they'll bring in like 2 to 3 million fucking migrants, and they'll work their asses off during the summer, whether that's doing construction, hospitality, anything to because Croatia receives a large tourist boom. People flock there for the summer months, do their, whatever. So anyway,
Work visas, though. And
work.
then on top of that, I'd venture to say that a lot of countries that do that and bring like a ton of people in on work visas, usually not just giving them citizenship, like your lineage, that's a whole different story. But um, when they bring those people in, it's typically because the rate of childbirth is lower in those places. Like in America, the rate of childbirth is starting to go down, but
Mhm.
it's not as low as some of those other places, for example. So obviously you need more labor if you're not able to produce more people. Like if everybody has one child on average, that's not gonna sustain.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. But yeah, I don't exactly see um the link between open borders here, but I would say more so to answer the point regarding why is I think America, we've established ourselves as like this global policing force. Um, I think there's value in that. We maintain in the issue of Russia and Ukraine, we value sovereign borders and we attempt to maintain them because we do have the strongest fighting force, maybe not by manpower, but through technological advancement and money spent, like we are a force to be reckoned with. And I think we still maintain air superiority, although China is catching up with us here. But that being said, these are like indispensable tools. We are key in facilitating free trade and the security of shipping routes throughout the world. So I think global policing is important. That's why we're kind of in everybody's business because we are everybody's business. Um, but yeah, there's definitely value to be had in that. Maybe now there could be debate on, you know, how much should we spend, how much onus should be put on other countries. But I think if you look at spending like contributions to Ukraine and like other what's the word I'm looking for? Other nations' contributions, The EU, because it's in their borders, have donated a sizable portion. I don't think quite as much as us, but just like a large amount of money to helping Ukraine fight Russia. So that's kind of my gist on that. I think there's a lot of value in being the big guy that says, "Hey, don't do that. Don't bully little guys."
I mean, but that's why you have the United Nations, right? That's why you have a group of countries. It
Mhm.
feels like we have the United Nations, but at the end of the day, it's just us primarily. And I
Yep.
understand what you said about um European nations donating, but it's like it's primarily us. And my thing is, it's like when you're on an airplane, what do they always say? If there's turbulence or whatever, the plane's about to crash or whatever, literally help yourself before you help others.
Hmm.
Like, we don't do enough to solve and resolve the issues that we have here in America before we go and stick our hand out to everybody else. Like, we're quite literally giving money away that we do not have. We have a national debt of what, $35 trillion. A trillion is 1,000 billion. We have 35 of those in debt, negative money, and we still feel obligated to have the onus be upon us instead of more of a collective of the United Nations supporting these other nations. That does not make sense to me.
Yeah.